The Brown Park Podcast is brought to you by Grow Clinics. They're Australia's leading hair transplant clinics, and you can go to growclinics.com.au. Hello.
Sorry, mate, I was just taking a drink. How are you?
What is in your Winnie the Pooh cup today?
It was coffee this morning.
Yeah. Nice. It's
Pooh.
very early. It's
Yes.
very early that we've had to get up because of the time difference with our guest Lee Marvin Hitchman. I also just want to put forward that this episode comes with a trigger warning today.
Yeah, this guy's been through a lot and we touch on some pretty serious topics.
If you're easily triggered, just a warning of what's coming up on the show with our guest today.
The Brown Park Podcast.
Question.
Okay, go. What do you got for me?
You ever stolen anything?
I stole a pen when I was in, I want to say like grade 4 or 5 from Kmart. And then I was so nervous about doing it that when I got out of Kmart, I threw it in the bin because I didn't even want it. I stole this little pen from Kmart, and then when I got out the front of Kmart, I threw it in the bin.
And that was it. That's your life of crime.
That's it.
That's a very short story.
You? Yeah, what about you?
No.
Nothing.
No, I accidentally stole a postcard once.
You-
Actually, can I? This this goes to show you my life of privilege.
Mm-hmm.
I accidentally stole a postcard from the Hamilton Island post office when I was 17.
What? Hamilton Island? If you need to find him, I'll put you in direct contact.
No. I actually went back and handed it back.
Oh
'Cause
my
it was an
God.
accident.
Oh my God. Yeah, okay. So how did it happen? And then you returned
I think I was buying a magazine and I accidentally took a postcard and then got out and went, "Oh, I've stolen a postcard. I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to be handed around." So I took it straight back and went, "I'm really sorry. I took this, and here you go." And I would thank you, and that was it. That was my life of crime.
Was your heart racing? Like, oh my God, I've just stolen a postcard.
Yes, I'm too pretty to go to jail.
Gee, I'm going to take this postcard and off to Cuba I go.
Yeah, I know.
You rebel, you.
All right, today's guest has a book out. It's called Born in Prison. His name is Lee Marvin Hitchman, and what a story he's about to tell us. Hello, mate.
G'day, mate.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Nick.
You have quite the interesting life story, and we'll start off with the name of your book is called Born in Prison, How I Survived Shooting, Stabbings, Prison, Crack, Manchester Gangs, and Dog Attacks.
What, is that all?
It is indeed.
Is that all you survived?
That was just before breakfast.
Holy crap, mate.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised you're still here.
Thank you. Yeah, I hear that a lot.
Oh my God! All right, so let's go from the beginning, okay? Because you were actually born in prison.
I was indeed.
Okay, so your mum and dad obviously were in prison at the time. How does that work?
Both parents, was in prison when I was born. So my mum was in a prison for women, and she was on a mother and baby unit, which has style women's prison is a really big old prison, and it's got like a mother and baby unit on there. So if you go in there pregnant, you are literally being able to have your kids, spend a few months with them, and then you're shipped out then to like an orphanage type thing. Or you're released from custody with the baby, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my mum left me on the mother and baby unit, got released from custody, and was undecided whether to sign me up or sign me away or not. And in the meantime, I was in an orphanage, which was outside the prison, which was seemingly quite strict, because I think that's where my mum and dad, my adoptive mum and dad, actually picked me from. So they got me when I was about 9 months old from the orphanage. And they said they chose me because I had big, massive, saucer-shaped eyes, and I was the happiest baby in there, they said. So my mum, my adoptive mum, a little Welsh woman, she fell for me straight away. Yeah, so I was picked out of there. My birth mum was a drug addict, and my birth dad was a drug addict as well. I found out later. But there was little whispers off my adoptive mum and dad from very, very young that I was very special because I was a picked child. But to hear that you're picked can go two ways. It can kind of affect you a little bit mentally as well, because you pick something off the floor. Do you know what I mean? So being told you picked can be quite. It was kind of confusing for me as a child, you know.
So what do you mean picked? Does that mean like you were selected to go out to a family?
Well, they said they picked me because I was such a beautiful little child, you know. My adoptive parents picked me like off a group of children. So in where they picked me from, I've been told later on that my dad told me it was a very strict place where I was in. So they couldn't go up to see me after 4 o'clock because they was told the baby was all locked away and then they wouldn't be seen till the next day. So my adoptive dad, has always told me like it was a very rough place they picked me from. So from very, very young, I was a distressed child. I used to wee the bed a lot.
Yeah.
Bang my head off a pillow. I used to have a reoccurring dream that I was mopping the floor and I'd wake up and I'd be piss wet through, do you know what I mean?
Wow.
But my Jamaican dad was very, very strict and very limited in his capacity to know how to manage it. So all he knew what to do was like beat me, you know, and use violence, you know, like a bamboo cane or his belt or his hand or something.
So your adoptive dad was doing that?
Yeah, my adoptive dad, he was a very, very violent man. Not all the time. He was a very strange. If he had a drink, like I can remember his works dues, like he didn't drink often. So he'd go on like a Christmas works do, and he'd come home and he'd be dead jolly and happy. And he'd empty all his pockets for me and my adoptive sister and give us all his money out of his pockets. But any other day, like any day-to-day normal, you know, he was very tight and always crying poverty. Do you know what I mean?
So the drink made him happier, not more aggressive, which is a flip side to most stories.
It is an absolute flip side, yeah. It is a flip side, yeah. It's a funny old one, isn't it? Yeah, so he was the happiest.
Wouldn't you want to just put like vodka in his cornflakes or something like that, just to
That would have been a good one, wouldn't it?
Keep him loaded all the time.
Yeah, that would have been a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, he was mental, really. He was a madman. He regrets it now, like, you know, I've spoke to him because he's still alive, like nearly 85, and I've spoke to him like recently, and he does seem to kind of regret it seemingly, but he's never said sorry, do you know what I mean? He's just acted a bit daft. I was told from very young that my mum used to say to me, son, I never burnt you, right? So I didn't know what she meant, you know what I mean? Obviously, I was too young to get it. And as I was growing up, she said, you've got a big burn in the dead centre of your back. And I've seen it in the mirror a little bit. And I've got a cigarette stub out on my back, what I've had since I was a baby. Now, where it comes from, nobody can tell me, you know what I mean? Because I remember my adoptive mum saying to me, son, I never burnt you, it wasn't me. Do you know what I mean? She used to say, I never burnt you, it wasn't me. As I got on later in life, I never really asked about it. I felt kind of embarrassed about it, do you know what I mean? So I just left it at that. And now I've spoke to my dad about it afterwards since then. And he kind of changes the subject somewhat. He starts getting a bit paranoid and starts saying, how old are you now? And I'll tell him my age, and he'll say, oh, I didn't smoke when you was born. And he'll make a big point of making sure that he makes this point of that he didn't smoke when I was born, you know what I mean? And that makes me a bit suspicious. I wonder why, but I could never say it was him because I'm not sure, you know? So I was a very troubled child growing up. I mean, like I say, I used to bang my head off a pillow a lot, and I'd be petty stealing from the shops and stuff, chocolate bars and whatnot. I was going to primary school, and back then you used to get the strap, which you used to get a belt. You'd have to put your hand out and get a whack off a big 3-prong leather belt, you know what I mean?
So can I ask, were you, with both parents in jail, were they for drugs?
Yeah, they was both heroin addicts.
So were you born as a baby that was addicted, like an addiction baby?
This is it, yeah. So I think she'd been in prison a little bit of a while before I was born, so I think she'd got clean by then and got off the drugs by the time I was born, do you know what I mean? I didn't have addictions, but I was distressed. I was born in distress. It states on my adoption file. My adoptive parents, it was quite difficult because I knew my Welsh mum loved me very much, but I knew my dad had a lot of anger issues. And he had other kids in Jamaica who he never brought to England with him. So I think he was a bit angry at me for not being his proper kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he wanted his proper kids around him and stuff. And my adoptive mum, she couldn't have children because she was in a violent relationship very, very young. She'd been threw down a flight of stairs and had all her insides removed and couldn't have children. I think she was pregnant and she lost the baby as well.
Okay.
I was going to say, so going forward into school and you're into petty theft and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
At what point in your life did the law catch up with you with regards to that?
Straight away. I mean, I was arrested for the burglary at the school, and I think that I was too young to be convicted then, because I think the criminal age in England is 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I was playing up quite a lot before they could do anything. I mean, I got into the gas, and what happened was I got into the glue actually first. At the time, there was a lot of glue sniffing about. A lot of the older lads, it was punk rock at the time, I think. So a lot of older lads was glue sniffers, and I used to follow them around and get the glue bags and copy what they was doing. And I'll tell you something now, when I tried glue, it took me to this perfect place.
Right.
I got this reoccurring nursery rhyme, this musical, you know those musical jewellery boxes, what you wind up and you open them and it sound like a little sound comes out the box. So I had a reoccurring one of them in my head every time I took the butane gas. So I'd take butane gas or glue and I'd get high off it, and I'd had this reoccurring dream, nursery rhyme, and for some reason it brought me closer to my birth mum. I don't know why, but also somewhere in my psyche I can feel the last time my mum held me in her arms, which I know sounds crazy, but I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in my brain that I can remember that dark energy when my mum had to pass me away for the last time. And for some reason, I can just feel the tears and stuff. So yeah, that's never left me, that, you know.
This is the Brown Park Podcast. Real fellas.
Hey team, we need to take a quick second to talk about Grow Clinics, the proud sponsors of our show. Now, Grow Clinics is where your journey to hair restoration begins. At Grow Clinics, they understand the impact hair loss can have on your confidence and well-being. That's why they've invested in state-of-the-art technology and assembled a team of experts dedicated to delivering exceptional results. Their personalised approach ensures each treatment plan is tailored to your unique needs and goals. So whether you're experiencing the early signs of hair loss or you're seeking to restore a fuller, thick head of hair, Grow Clinics can help you. Take the first step today towards regaining your confidence. Schedule your free consultation at growclinics.com.au. That's growclinics.com.au, and tell them Brown Park sent ya.
This is the Brown Park Podcast with Christo and Dion.
Is your birth mum still alive? Have you ever had conversations with her?
Well, this is where I'll get to. I'll tell you now in the story. So we moved house at 11, and we moved a mile away, but it felt like another planet. And I got introduced to a paedophile off a lad who lived on my estate, and he ended up getting me for a few years, and I was being raped and stuff and abused on a regular. He was waiting for me coming home from school, and the block of flats what he lived in overlooked the house what we'd moved to. So he used to stand on his balcony and watch me come home from school and kind of wave me back into his flat. You know, I was in the gates of hell, and I couldn't really tell anyone, because at first I'd always been told to stay out the blocks of flats, and I went in the blocks of flats, you know, and I felt, and I never thought my dad would believe me, and I didn't have that close a relationship with him, so I just kept it secret, and that was a really bad time. So I went and used the gas a lot to deal with that, and I realised that drugs was quite an escape, you know, so I started using gas, and then I moved on to Tipex thinners and all that. Then I tried cannabis and acid and stuff like that, you know, quickly progressed onto other drugs, very young, you know.
I just wanted to go back a section. How did you land in that situation? How was he getting you?
It was crazy, because there was a guy who I met who was a bit older than me, and I had a games console, like a tape cassettes, I think it was, and he said he had games for it, and I went to his flat. He lived opposite this paedophile's flat, and that day, the first day I went, I'm in his bedroom, this kid's bedroom, and he kept looking out of his window, looking over, and he said, I'm waiting for my mate to come back. He went, he's back now. Took me over to this fella's house, and this fella was lingering in his hallway. His mum was watching snooker in the living room, and he just grabbed me into this hallway, Well, he grabbed me into his bedroom, and he had this big homemade wooden toolbox behind, like on the wall, and he just grabbed it and slid it behind the door. Now I know it. He used that regular, you know what I mean? When he was abusing kids, he'd put that toolbox behind the door. And he started just licking my face, you know what I mean? And just treating me like I was a piece of bleeding, whatever, you know? And I went home shocked, like just spaced out. I would come home from school the next day and the guy's in the hallway of my mum and dad's house.
But the guy that raped you was in your parents' house?
Yeah. He was a clever boy. He come round and was saying, "Oh, thanks for him helping my mum, because gold shot for her yesterday. Like, she really appreciated it. Is it okay for him to come around and go shop for the regular?" And I'm just thinking, wow, fucking hell, man. Like, did he know him? Or it just seemed like he was welcome, you know what I mean? But he was just...
And how old were you?
I was 11. And like I say, we just moved to a new estate.
Yeah.
Went on for a few years. He had me for a while. Until I got old enough to start getting the strength and started getting angry about what he was doing to me, you know what I mean? And then, like...
Did you ever get him?
He died when I was about 14, 15. I think he was 15 when he died. His mum died first, and then he passed away.
And what year was this? Because then that also helps define sort of
85, mid-80s, isn't it?
85, yeah.
Mid-80s.
So you're not saying anything to anyone. You're not dealing with the problems. It's just it's being buried like it is.
It's being buried, yeah. And I mean, a lot of kids was going through that at the time as well, wasn't there? There was a lot of badness going on back then, do you know what I mean? Thank God things have changed now. People have got a voice now. People have found a voice, thankfully, you know what I mean? But back then, there was no such thing as having a voice, you know? So it just went on, and it was just a normal thing. And then I was committing crimes, and so I found the streets far more appealing. So I was around the red light areas a lot. You know, there's a red light area in the Manchester city centre, and I lived a mile away from it. So I was down there a lot, and I had a gang who we used to hang around with. And then we got into some really, really serious scrapes, you know. I mean, I think back and I think I found the streets was the place to be.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be around my dad because I didn't like him, so the streets was where I wanted to be as much as possible.
And also you probably felt no support from your family as well because of what you were going through on the side. You didn't think you could go to them, so you were probably, the streets became your family.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and you would have been more accepted on the streets than you would have been at home.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, you're absolutely right, yeah. I mean, I was, yeah. I got into the drug scene. I mean, the Summer of Love was 1989. The Ecstasy second Summer of Love, like the first one was like 1969, the second one was 89. And I was bang in the middle of that. I was a drug dealer by then. I was selling LSD, amphetamine and cannabis from the 10th floor black door of a block of flats. By the time I was 15, 16.
And were you into it yourself? Were you doing it yourself?
I was taking drugs all day long, yeah. I was taking LSD every day nearly, you know what I mean? Like, just tripping escaping, taking whiz and speed and stuff, yeah.
And so easily accessible too, right?
Well, if you're a drug dealer, yes. Yeah. If you're the drug dealer, you've got it.
Put your hand in your pocket.
Yeah, it was a lot of it. There was a lot of it. Yeah, I was only a 2-bit drug dealer compared to anyone special, do you know what I mean? We'd literally just take a few £100 worth of drugs to a nightclub, sell them. So what happened was I'm dancing in a nightclub one day, and I see this nice girl dancing. She lives local to me, and I get to her house and she says, "You ever tried cocaine?" And the only time I took cocaine is I tried it like in a joint before. Like there used to be a thing called a ching spliff, what went about, cocaine spliff. Yeah. But cocaine was for yuppies then. It wasn't really accessible to ravers. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't a raving drug. And this girl had a crack pipe. I didn't know it was a crack pipe. She just went, "Try this." And before I knew it, she brought this big pipe to my face. I went, "Suck on this pipe." And little did I know, I was instantly addicted to it. I fell in love with it straight away.
Yeah, right.
Because I'd been taking a lot of other drugs. I tried the crack cocaine. It was like, this is the wonderland of drugs.
Well, isn't that's what they say? You can become addicted to it almost immediately, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Crack cocaine is an extremely, extremely addictive drug. It's the most addictive drug on the planet. When I became a crack cocaine addict, I committed a street robbery on my estate and robbed 2 heroin dealers. I robbed 5 people in an house actually was selling heroin, but only 2 of them went to the police in the house and said I'd robbed them. I got remanded into custody. I'd seen one of them. I got bail. I'd seen one a couple of weeks later. Booted his leg from underneath him, said, "Why did he blew me up?" Blah, 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 blah. He went back to the police and got me remanded into custody, and that was my first time in prison then.
And how old were you then?
20.
So you get in trouble for robbing a drug dealer.
Yeah, I robbed a heroin
Oh my
dealer, yeah. Yeah.
So obviously they never told the cops what you robbed from them.
Dags obviously
Far
not,
out.
no. Yeah.
Yeah, far out.
Yeah.
Imagine a drug dealer going to the cops saying, "Hey, this guy robbed me."
And that's what he did, yeah. So, yeah, he told him I robbed him, but they didn't say I took the heroin off him or the drug money. I got remanded into custody for robbery times 2, and I walked into a jail cell, and it was like it was something I'd never experienced. And there was no toilet, and there was a bucket in the corner, a white bucket, but it was yellow, right? So it had that many stains on it. It was a yellow bucket, yeah, it was supposed to be white, all right? The walls had been painted and had washing detergent on them, and then tried to be painted so you could scrape the paint off with your fingers, you know what I mean, get onto the other layers. And people had pooed on it, and blood was in it, and they just painted over it, you know what I mean? So literally it was bubbling. So it's full of excrement and blood and spit and all sorts, yeah.
Worst house renovation show ever.
Yeah, there was just a bed frame. There was a bed frame, and in front of me was a window. What had no glass in it. It was just bars, 3 layers of bars, and on them windows was a full community of insects, millipedes, centipedes. You could just sit there for hours and just be fascinated off the windowsill, because it was like a living windowsill. Because there was no toilets in the cell, you had to wee out the window, or pour your wee out the window, or fold your poo into paper and push out all the inch squares of the windows. Because it was called slop out. There was no toilets in your cell. You was locked up for 23 hours a day, and if you needed the toilet, you'd have to poo in paper.
How is that legal? Like, I mean, I know you've done a crime.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know this was probably late 80s, early 90s, but like...
Well, this was middle of the 90s, mid-90s.
But this still it sounds like a Balinese prison or a third world country prison, not UK.
Great Britain. Great Britain, this was 1994.
Not so great.
We was proper treated like animals. The only time you could get out was go to the gym. So you'd have a few of the lads who was long-termers in there. He was absolutely ginormous, you know what I mean? And the prison officers would take great pleasure in watching 2 enemies have a fight in the gym. You know, it'd be these 2 big men punching each other. And they'd only get involved and stop it if someone pulled knives out, or, you know what I mean, hot water and sugar got involved or something like that. That's the only time a fight would be stopped, if there was a weapon involved. So it was a very, very tough place. I got a sentence, got out, vowing never ever to touch crack cocaine again, right? Because I'd never got it once on that sentence. I never touched it. The day I got out, I got sort of a few quid off from discharge money, like £40 or something. And all I could think about then was buying crack. You know, my addiction, my habit, that addiction had not gone anywhere. So the prison time was just a waste of time. It was like I was just in a time warp.
How long were you in there for?
I got a 27-month sentence, and I did half of that. But I did a bit more than half of that. But they might as well have just froze me. They might as well have just deep froze me, you know what I mean? Because everything I did carried on from that day I went in. I just carried on the day I got out, do you know what I mean? So the only thing the prison did is stop me committing any more crimes on the street, all right?
What do you think they should have done? What do you think would be a better solution in that case?
I don't think they should imprison non-violent offenders and put them with murderers and gangsters and drug dealers. Because why would you put someone who's a petty criminal who doesn't know more than how to break into an open car? Why would you sit him down with experienced criminals who will tell you all the grass what they do and all the tricks of the trade, like, you know?
It's true, because we've interviewed somebody else that spent some time in prison, and he said he learnt more in prison than he did outside. He called it his university.
Well, yeah, it is. It's a university. It's like you're being enrolled into different factions of crime, because people will tell you what they're in for. Yeah, I'm in for snatching keys, or I'm in for handbag snatches, or I'm in for robbing post office, or I'm in for this, I'm in for that. You find out every different crime and how easy it is to do this and that. Do you know what I mean? It becomes very, very easy. And you're learning off the best of them, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm going through the checklist of your book. So, Born in Prison, How I Survived Shootings, Stabbings, Prison, Crack Addiction, Manchester Gangs, and Dog Attacks. We've done Manchester Gangs.
Yeah.
We've done Crack Addiction.
Yeah.
Well, not yet. We haven't finished that one, but yeah.
Well,
go on.
no, but I mean, I believe the crack addiction is ongoing because it leads to a shooting.
Well, yeah, I got shot off a gang member who was a serial shooter.
I was reading this story, and this is...
Him and his boys was real gangbangers, out around in cars looking for their enemies, and if they found their enemies, they'd just shoot at them, you know what I mean, shoot at the car. And there was people being killed in drive-bys that way and stuff. So it was real business, you know what I mean? There was real people being killed on them streets. There was a guy who had a bit of crack, and he asked me, did I want to start doing a bit of serving up for him? And I kind of knew him, and he knew me, and I know him well to this day. So I took the crack off him, and I just smoked him, you know what I mean? I just thought, yeah, buzzing, I've got somebody. And I was thinking in the back of my mind, because he said to me, you better not smoke them all, because I'll shoot you if you smoke them all. But in the back of my mind, I knew he wouldn't shoot me straight away. You know what I mean? So I smoked him. I seen him. I kind of avoided him for a day or something. And in the end, I just thought I best, like, go to the street where he is. Otherwise, you know what I mean? There's no point avoiding him. So I went to where I knew I'd find him and his boys. And he said, yo, man, where's my money? I went, bro, I've got something to tell. I smoked them all, man. I couldn't resist it, bro. It was just one of those things. I'll go raise for you tonight and make you some money. And he went, you know what? Here's some more. So me being a dickhead, smoked him again.
Oh.
Right? I tried selling them a little bit, and I just, the crap was too nice, to tell you the truth, you know what I mean? Like, and I just didn't want to sell it, so I just smoked a lot.
Far out.
And then I thought, shit, I am in trouble here now, do you know what I mean? And I thought, I best avoid him. One of my mates stopped me in town and said, man, do you want to come to the gang area while I go and buy some crack from a club? And I thought, shit, back in my mind, I knew I owed this guy money. But I just thought, I'll just go with it. So I went, and he got out the car, gone to the club, and some lads walking up and down the street and seeing me in the back of the car. I went, yo, Marv, blah, blah, looking for you. You owe him money. And I thought, oh, shit.
Gigs up.
Yeah, gigs up. Yeah, this is what I thought. Yeah, the gigs up. And the boy come out. He's got a brandy and coke in his hand, and he's a bit wavy. And he's like, Marv, come here, you, I want you. And he called me over the road. I went round the back of these houses. He just pulled out a big, massive revolver and just went, boosh, boosh, second shot hit me. And I don't think it dropped me. I can't remember if it dropped me or not. But I just remember seeing a big hole in I had these jeans on, like these multicoloured jeans, and I remember seeing like this big hole in these jeans, all a bit frayed and shit. And I thought, wow, I've really been shot. So I've got to the car, done like that to me, mate. I've just been shot, you know. So he jumps out the car before I could tell him to do anything, and starts going, yeah, who's just fucking shot him? Fucking shoot me. And I went, listen, get the fuck back in this car now, because they won't shoot up. I remember distinctly saying to him, they'll start shooting up the car, you know what I mean? So the taxi driver, the pirate taxi driver, as soon as I got in and said I'd been shot, he just ran.
Took off, yeah.
So the keys were in the ignition. Instead of going to the hospital, which was on the way to the city centre, I drove more or less right past the hospital, went to a nightclub, walked in. It was a downstairs nightclub. Went downstairs, went into the women's toilets. My mate had gone by this time. He just brought me some crack off, give me a couple of crack. I've got in the toilet and I'm smoking crack, and the blood's pumping faster out my leg, so I can see a lot of blood. So I take my t-shirt off and I just tie it to my knee, you know, like Rambo. I'd watched Rambo films, and I'd seen that red ribbon round his arm. I remembered the red ribbon round his arm.
Yeah.
And I just thought, tie a ribbon round it.
Should be good.
And then I'm smoking a bit more crack, and all of a sudden some woman's come in the toilet and just started screaming and going, there's blood everywhere. And I've looked and I can see all my fingerprints everywhere, and where I've been walking in and out the toilet high on crack, there's blood everywhere, all over the floor. So the bouncer said to me, Marv, you best go to the hospital, you know. So I'm like, bro, I've got no money. I'm not going to the hospital till I've got money. Give us 20 quid and I'll go to the hospital. Oh, my God.
Far out.
So basically, not only is he doing me a favour, but taking me to the hospital. On the way there, I'm trying to blag him for 20 quid so I can buy crack for when I get out of the hospital. You know what I mean?
This is the Brown Park Podcast. Now, a word from our sponsors.
Big thanks to Grow Clinics for continuing to support the Brown Park Podcast. And has your confidence dimmed alongside your thinning hair? Do you find yourself avoiding mirrors, hiding beneath hats, longing for the days your hair danced in the wind? Well, you're not alone. Hair loss can take a toll, but it doesn't have to steal your joy. With Grow Clinics, you can rewrite your story. They offer a path to rediscover your vibrant self, a journey towards a thicker, healthier head of hair, and their innovative techniques delivered by compassionate experts can transform not just your appearance, but your perspective. At Grow Clinics, they understand the emotional weight of hair loss. They believe in empowering you with personalised solutions, honest advice, and unwavering support. You're not just a patient, you're a partner in rediscovering your confidence strand by strand. So don't let hair loss dim your inner glow. Take the first step towards a fuller, happier you. Contact Grow Clinics today for a free consultation and learn how they can help you rewrite your narrative at growclinics.com.au.
This is the Brown Park Podcast with Christo and Dion. Now back to the show.
Tell me, does it mean, obviously you were high, but, you know, it's a morbid question, but does it hurt to be shot, or it doesn't hurt that
I didn't
much?
feel no pain. All right, so I'll tell you another one, yeah. So on a gang-infested estate, there's a gang of men all trying to make money selling drugs. Heavily armed men. I mean, crazily heavily armed, like back the machine guns and all sorts of stuff they used to have, because gangs like to have a collection of weird and wonderful guns to show their enemy, like, we've got this and we've got that. So I knew this gang had the sickest guns. Anyway, me and this guy was going on their estate and pretending to be drug dealers. So a customer would come in the avenue, we'd be stood on that estate, stood there, the car would park up and we'd say, "What do you want? How much do you want?" And he'd go, "Yeah, we want," and he'd pass me the money, and me and my mate would just get off with it.
Take off.
And once or twice, like, I can remember him, like, having to fight with people for money in a car. So he was causing shit on that estate. And one Saturday morning, I'm stood on this road, minding my own business, and a car parks up, and this guy said to me, "Marv, get in." He said, "Your time's up here, mate. You fucked up here." So I said, "Why? What's up?" He went, "Was you robbing punters on the estate last night? You and blah blah." So I said, "Yeah." So he's gone, "Oh, you fucked it. Oh, man. Mayo wants to see you." And this guy was like the leader of that gang. My first words were, "Am I going to get shot?" You know what I mean? Because I thought, I don't want to get killed. In hindsight, they're not going to kill just a crackhead for, you know, a few quid, you know what I mean? So I knew they're not going to shoot me, but it was still scary, you know. I said, "Am I going to get shot?" And he said, "Nah, he's not going to shoot you, but you're going to have to take a beating." And the kid knew I was game, so he said to me, "Whatever you do, don't retaliate. If you try and hit him back, you're going to get shot. He'll shoot you up. So don't try and touch him. Just take a beating. You're in the wrong." So I said, "All right." And I got out of this car and I'm like, "Mate, I'm so sorry." And he just went, "Oh, you say sorry to me." I had this English bull terrier on a rope. It's been stolen from a scrapyard. He just put it on me. It started chewing my leg. After it's carrying on for a bit, his son is trying to smash a bottle over my head as well. So I'm getting punched off him. I'm punched off his dad. And this dog's chewing me and this dog's locking onto my legs. And I couldn't feel any pain. I remember thinking, I can't feel no pain. And I best do something because this is going to carry on. He'll end up killing me, you know what I mean? So I remember one part of my brain saying, "Marv, you best start screaming because you're not making no noises. When someone's beating you up, they want to hear you in pain, don't they? They're not going to stop."
Yep.
So I thought I best start screaming. So I start screaming, And I ended up with loads of big bite marks all over my legs.
You've also written that you were stabbed.
Yeah, I got stabbed off of my mate, you know, because I walked by him a can of beer. Put a big knife in my side. I'm lucky it never hit anything.
Does being stabbed hurt?
It doesn't hurt more than the police dog, more than the dogs. Dogs hurt more. So you don't feel blades when you go in, do you know what I mean? So when I got stabbed in my side, I was walking with a well-known, I'd say a serial killer, because he's probably killed more than 3 people in his life. He's a well-known gang member, but over the years he ended up starting smoking crack, so he fell off, so he's not like involved in it now. But in his prime, he'd killed more than 3 people, so he's definitely a serial killer, I reckon. And he's well known as well as being a madman. So he said to me on the way through this park, he said, Marv, you're going to buy me a can of beer? And he's not only a crackhead, he was an alcoholic. And me not thinking, because I want an alcoholic, I went, nah, I can't afford it. I'm only buying crack. Basically saying, no, I'm not buying you a can. And he stuck a big knife in my side and walked off.
Because you wouldn't buy him a beer.
And I looked, yeah, and I was going to buy him crack. I was giving him like 20 quid. And I looked down and went, bro, have you just stabbed me seriously? And he just looked over his shoulder and said nothing and walked off. And luckily for me, the hospital was about a mile away, a mile and a half away. So I went in, said, yeah, I've been stabbed in my side. A nurse come out, took me in a room. I said, is it anything serious? Like, am I bleeding inside? And she assessed that I wasn't bleeding inside, and I just walked back out and left it. Never got it sewn, never got it glued. So I've got this big gaping hole scar at the side here where I got stabbed.
I want to ask, what was the turning point to get you out of that life, or are you smack bang in the middle of it now and there's somebody there with a gun?
Yeah, well, the turning point, it was a number of things. I was with a girl, I met my partner, and like, she's a straight member, she doesn't take anything like that. So she was encouraging me to get clean. Her mum and dad was helping me a lot as well. You know, her dad was a big help for me, you know what I mean? And he helped me get clean.
What was how did you stop?
The power of the mind, the power of self-talk, telling yourself that you've got this, you can do it, you know. I mean, a lot of people think because they've lived a history that they can't change, but you can change it on the flick of a switch. I mean, you've got to believe that. And so I say to myself, no matter what I've been through, I can turn it around just by saying things have changed, I'm a different person, or I've stopped this now. And tell yourself that. Some people don't trust in themselves. I think they need an outside source to tell themselves that they can do something. And I mean, I think we need to find the power in yourself to tell yourself that you've got the keys and the knowledge and the strength to do it yourself. And also, whatever lived history you've been to, it doesn't have to define you now, you know what I mean? You can change it and turn it on its head and stuff like that, do you know what I mean?
What a story. Holy hell.
It was all before breakfast, boys. It was all before breakfast.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Jesus.
And it is here. It's only 7:30 in the morning.
That's, you all see what I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean, so how did you land where you are now, writing a book?
Well, so I told my story a couple of times to an ex-prison officer, and he'd done a book. So he brought a book out called Strange Ways Unlocked, and I put some of my story in that. And a few people reached out to me because my story was so extraordinary and asked me would I like to explain it in a bit more detail, just like you gentlemen have done today, you know.
The book is called How I Survived Shootings, Stabbings, Prison, Crack Addiction, Manchester Gangs, and Dog Attacks.
And it's available on Amazon, guys.
We'll put the link to it in the show notes for this podcast. Lee Marvin Hitchman.
All right, Grill.
Thank you for sharing your story.
My God, brother.
I'm glad you're alive to share it.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, yeah. I appreciate it.
I'm not going to lie, Mav. I'm sitting here at 7 o'clock in the morning feeling like I need a goddamn drink after your story.
Yeah, you need a break. You need a break now. Go and get a bit of meditation. Yeah, just go and brush it all off.
The Brown Podcast.
Why are you happy?
It's cool.